Tufts owns the Grafton Science Park. Tufts is a land grant institution. As a result, they can only do 99-year leases. They can't actually sell the land. And their biggest thing is they don't want to sell the land because they're a land grant institution and they receive funding from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And the school is afraid if they sell the land, they'll get cut off from the state when it comes to funding. So that's the challenge of the science park. Historically, we believed to get it so Tufts could sell the land, it would have required an act of the state legislature. But we have a new group of people that are investigating our ability to potentially sell that land or transfer it without actually getting act signed by the legislature. Now, they're having some personnel changes over at Tufts. Jean Poteet, who's been the planner at Tufts forever, retired on June 30th. Joe McManus, who has been the executive dean, will retire on December 30th. The new dean is very focused on the professors. And as a result, she wants to give the professors more lab space. Well, by her giving these professors more lab space, it's eliminated the incubator space that we currently have over there. Going forward, the Grafton Science Park will be managed by people out of Medford. We've requested a meeting with them, but as a result of it being August, trying to get a group of people together simultaneously has proven to be quite challenging. Tufts has also floated the idea, and I don't know how serious they are, about developing a building in the science park with extra lab space beyond what they would normally need. And the additional lab space could be used for incubator space or other companies. That's very similar to the model that Worcester Polytech currently uses. And when I talk to a couple of people, I'm hearing that this is actually a new model that some of the colleges are using to increase revenue. Until we talk with the new people, we don't know how serious they are or what's going to happen with it. The key thing to remember is if they build these buildings and they lease it, as you know, all commercial leases are done triple net. And triple net, one of the portions is taxes. And even though Tufts will own it, we as a town will collect taxes from those for-profit businesses. Does anybody have any questions?
So the, that's actually, John, that's the first time I've heard that.
What's that?
We're going to actually get real estate taxes out of these things. Because the 99-year lease is if they have, if there's any association with the college at all, it's not taxable.
Yeah, so, I don't think it is. I think you're right, Ray. I think the bottom line is the taxes would come from the ownership of property, et cetera. I don't think it would be the actual real estate. It would be the equipment inside the facilities.
Yeah,
well,
and that's what I was going to say is that, in that situation, we can, well, it's not real estate tax, but it is taxes, on the equipment.
Right.
But it's not actual real estate taxes, because if it's associated with the college in any way, we can't get taxes out of it.
Well, when I talked to Joe McManus, he told me when Swine 2 was acquired, that part of it requires them to pay taxes to the town. Now, when I talked to Evan about it, and I talked to other people in town, they said that we're not receiving the taxes. So what I'm in the process of doing is getting a copy of the agreement to see if that's actually in writing. And then if it's in writing, then we need to figure out as a town how to put a system and a process in place to collect for that money.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, this really isn't the the job of the EDC is to worry about, you know, who pays taxes and who doesn't pay taxes. That's up to the select board. So, but I wanted John to explain that, you know, the mass development was in conversations with Tufts to take over the park, which would be great for us, because it would all come out of the 99-year lease, but it doesn't appear that that's what the case is. But this upcoming meeting, you know, is, you know, will give us more information, now that it's not being run out of Grafton, it's being run out of Medford. So,
Well, prior to this change, the concept was mass development was going to take it over.
Yeah.
And develop it. But having not talked to the new people in charge, it's difficult to know exactly what's going
Yeah.
on. Not to mention, philosophically, I wouldn't be surprised if they're now evaluating something new that they hadn't really given much attention to
anybody have any questions?
past.
on-
Well, it
their
would be
purview.
great it would be great if this could come to fruition, because Carl, I remember going back, a year ago, you mentioning during the course of one EDC meeting that we don't get, and it's not, again, I know it's not up to the EDC, but that the town of Grafton really gets the short end of the stick when it comes to Tufts and what they pay in taxes. So it would be great if there was some sort of liberation from this thing and somebody could take it, you know, somebody could take it over so the town could realize more taxes. So.
Anybody else?
Nope.
No. Okay, let's move on to 124 Westborough Road. That is actually before the planning board tonight. And they're the, one, if you remember correctly, 124 Westborough Road gave us that presentation back in, is it April, John? I can't remember.
I'm not very good with dates, but yes,
Yeah,
they did give us a presentation in the past.
I think it was April or May, and so, great project, you know, 200,000 square foot buildings, and a great developer. And they're gonna move forward with that project, and that'll be good for the town of Grafton, so. Anybody have any questions on that?
What's the time frame?
They're not done their, and John, you could probably answer this question. They're not through, their MIFA study, right?
No, they're not.
Yeah, I didn't think so. I didn't think they're done with that. That's about a 9-month
The,
situation.
the MIPA was filed on June 30.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's about a 9-month thing, but they're going ahead with going before the planning board and conservation and everything to get everything moving, which is really good. So hopefully by, well, depending on whether they're gonna build over the winter or they're going to wait till next spring, they'll be building. So that'll be great. Okay, the apartments at Centec Park. There are 323 apartments that are gonna be built at, on Millennium Drive, 5 Millennium Drive. The select board just gave their approval to, file under 40R, which is, affordable housing. So 20% of those, 20% of those units will be, affordable, at 80% of the AMI in Grafton. So, again, a great project. The site has been available now for almost 30 years. Has a lot of ledge on it, and they're really kind of excited about this project. It is going to be connected to the parking lot, for the MBTA station. So there'll be a walkway. So if you get off the train, you just walk up to the end of the parking lot and walk right through, and you're right there. Great, again, great developer, long track record of apartments. They own over 3,000 apartments now. They're a developer that builds and owns. So they don't sell off their properties, but that's actually before the planning board tonight. I'm sorry, that's not, 124 is before the planning board tonight. The apartments need to be, approved by the state, under DHCD, and I would say that'll be under construction next spring, late spring, early summer. So that's a nice project. It really is. Any questions or?
May I add some context to this to help people that may not have as much knowledge about this as you do? The last administration, under Governor Baker, they passed a law because stating that stations that towns that have MBTA communities need to put up housing adjacent to those communities. And there's all sorts of things with definition of how many houses you need to put up. Grafton, one of the challenges we had was that all of the adjacent land next to the commuter rail station is our industrial land. We were able to get that land, or Grafton considered as an adjacent community as opposed to a primary community, which lowered the amount of housing that we had to build. With that said, the other aspect is that if the town doesn't zone the housing according to the law, the town will lose funds and will receive less money from the states. Conversely, by doing this housing and it moving forward, the town will receive over $1 million from the state. Let's see what else I have in my notes. So that's a big thing. We probably don't want to go into density of housing and stuff like that, but we're strongly encouraged to do it by the state. We're doing it. And because this was a piece of property with a lot of ledge and they're moving forward, this is an excellent solution for the town of Grafton. Historically, we've seen a great appreciation in housing and population, but the problem we've having as a state is if we don't have affordable housing, we're losing people and we're decimating our economic engines without the people to serve. So this is a good thing for Grafton. It's a good thing for the state, and it's fully endorsed by a lot of people.
Now, Ray, you said 40R, it's not 40B?
No, it's 40R. So there's a, 8 Pine Street, which is across, Pine Street. That's part of this, what John was explaining, the MBTA,
Multifamily housing.
multifamily housing. So this piece of property is not in that zone. So we're going to, if the state approves it, and they say they're going to take 90 days to approve it, we're going to go to town meeting in October to have a zone change of creating a MBTA. Pine Street is A, MBTA would, this would be B. And once they have that, then they can move ahead.
Got it.
But it really is when we have apartments like down on Pleasant Street that we're talking, they're in approvals for, over on Upton Street, over across from the fire station, Snow Road, which they haven't filed their plans yet. No one is ever going to see this piece of property. I mean, you're gonna see the building as you drive by on Route 30, but it's not like there isn't a house within a mile of it. So it's not a traffic issue. The density is right up there, but it meets the law. But it's gonna be really good for the town. Really good, other than putting apartments in an industrial park, but this land's been sitting there for almost 30 years, so it's actually pretty good. Any other questions?
A quick comment, if I may. You both made mention of the fact that there's a lot of ledge on this property.
Yes.
And I don't know a lot about blasting ledge, but it's similar to fracking. it can change things underground that we don't see. I have to assume that someone has taken into account that the fact that when you start blasting, you're not going to shift the railroad tracks or something to that effect. So,
No, so Sean, if you watched last week's board meeting, I explained very briefly the way blasting is done. And the way it's, the sensors that they put in so that they do tests. They do, they find out whether the ledge is hard or soft, striated or not striated, or extremely hard granite. And then all these sensors are put in so that, a building right next door won't be damaged at all. There won't be any vibration at all to that. And it's all how they do it. There's two ways of blasting, two ways of taking out ledge. One is hammering it, and the other is blasting. And I had told the developer last week, or the person who had talked about this, I said, you'd rather blast it. Because blasting is one shot and it's over, per hole. Hammering is constant, boom, 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 constant, and it just
Right.
drive you crazy. So,
Right.
but yeah, though that's all going to be taken into account. That's standard in any blasting at all. So,
Okay.
So the next thing I had on there was budget spending items, and what I wanted to do is I wanted to put that on there just to come up with ideas for the next couple of meetings to, get ideas, thoughts, and how, we want to spend any money or advertising or whatever it is. We don't need anything tonight. I just wanted to bring that up, just to get some ideas of what everybody thought of what we should be doing to promote the town of Grafton, and go from there. So, any questions on that? No?
Oh.
Master plan. John is on the master plan committee. And John, if you want to explain what that is and timeframes and everything that goes along with it.
Okay, basically, the last time Grafton updated its master plan, a master plan in essence is nothing but a business plan for the town. It tries to forecast out what the needs of the town are going to be, how the town wants to develop, and what's going to be required to facilitate that. We're looking at 9 different sections to the master plan. What are the housing needs? So for instance, houses right now that go in are all multi-million dollars or $1 million houses. That's not good, and it doesn't meet a lot of people's needs. By changing some of the bylaws and figuring out in the master plan, we could try and create different types of housing to create opportunities for different families. We're kind of a split town, and Nicole can attest to this much more than I can, where you're either in one camp and there's very little in that middle. The master plan so far has conducted surveys during the farmers market, and we've also had a meeting where we encourage people from throughout town to attend at Apple Tree Arts. And based on what I've talked to some of the town elders, and they were surprised at the number of people that attended and the fact that they were seeing a lot of newer faces that they haven't seen in the past. If you guys have suggestions, recommendations, and you don't have time to attend the meetings, please let me know, and I'll make sure that I'll include your suggestions.
Okay. Anybody have any questions on that?
Nope.
Okay, Whitney Park, we talked about this, we talked about this briefly at our last meeting. I met with the town planner and just talked about Whitney Park, and there is through through the state, there is a plan of, redoing this park but it is a ways away as far as money goes. And something that, the town planners worked on, John's worked on, and I know a few other people worked on. I had suggested to the town planner that they create a committee to work on this park. It's a great area, a great park along with Perry Hill. And, so we'll just see where that's gonna be more of an update every month than anything else. And, I just wanted to get it on there and get it on our agenda, so.
May I add some stuff?
Sure.
One of the things that we're looking at to do for Whitney Park is to add Wi-Fi so people can make use of that. And during the process, we realized that we could also add Wi-Fi to the Grafton Common and Wi-Fi to Mill Street Park, which is in South Grafton. So we're going to add outdoor Wi-Fi. We're working with the IT committee as well as the planning board to move that forward. But the belief is that having the Wi-Fi would greatly enhance the park and the usage. I know I constantly work outside during the summer, and I would think other people would like to do so as well.
Okay. What was that call?
Fantastic, good idea.
Okay, John, you want to explain or talk about the MassBio Visit?
Sure. All right. The MassBio Visit, let me back up one moment. When you're trying to bring businesses to the town, businesses to the state, they use a professional called a site selector. And basically it's a specialized real estate agent that specializes in working with companies. They will work with the state because what happens with the site selector, they're not going to go from town to town. They work with the state, and then the state kind of directs them to the areas that make the most sense based on what that company's criteria is. Our goal is really to educate the people that are in the rooms with the people as they're looking for sites. So part of it is MassBio is in the center. It's like MassBio is nothing but a chamber of commerce for biotechnology companies. And by having the president come, she will be much more knowledgeable about Peter Aber join us, and he's the executive director of Mass Econ, selector database for the town, and is very heavily involved in helping businesses find locations. One of the things is because the open meeting laws, any business is working with the state, Virginia or New Jersey could request that list to find out who those businesses are. But by using Mass Econ, all of a sudden, you don't have the open freedom of information, so we don't have to disclose what businesses are talking to Massachusetts. So that's the key thing. As far as why we're doing it. Second thing is, by them being knowledgeable about Grafton, they treat all towns differently. Have to make sense for a particular business that they don't right now. Now, we can have as many people attend the informational luncheon as we design. We're going to do a tour of Grafton to see some of the biotechnology. During the lunch, GFI they're going to be telling Peter and Kendall directly about this opportunity and the buildings that are going up to help that them get that leased very quickly. And part of it, just kind of bringing this logic, is if GFI builds a building, they lease it quickly, they're going to be much more likely to invest and build other buildings speculative because they have a history of success in Grafton. So this is a huge one for the town, and it
John, you keep breaking up.
Yeah, your connection freezes.
okay. How much of that did you hear?
Not much.
Not
Well, no,
much.
we heard, I'd say we heard
Some of
everything
it.
except for the last 30 seconds.
You didn't hear the last 30 seconds?
No. No,
Oh,
you-
the last 30 seconds was this is a win for the town, and we're very excited.
Oh, okay, good. And that meeting is August 31st, John? Is that what it was?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
August 31st. Okay. And that's gonna be at Tufts.
yes.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Okay, so the next item on the agenda was available land in town, and I had asked John to put together a list and a list of commercial and industrial land together. And John, if you can just, if you have it done, I didn't really expect it to be done right away, but if you have that done, could you send that out to everybody and we can discuss it at the next meet? Oh, you got it. All right.
Okay, this here's the commercial property. Or commercial property. Is this available? As you can see, most of the raw land, when we look over here, and I'm gonna go to this one here, sometimes you'll see raw land and you look at it, like you look at New England Power, well, chances are you aren't gonna get that land out of New England Power. Sometimes it's raw land adjacent to a building, which may be somebody using it as a parking lot. So what we need to do, or I need to do, is to dig down into these opportunities to find out exactly what we're talking about. One of the things that struck me was a lot of these are relatively small, 0.2 acres. 0.96, I guess that's all right, but for commercial, I think that's definitely on the smaller side, 0.43, 0.23. But when we have some of the bigger properties here, we need to figure out how do we get that owner to act? Because again, the town doesn't own that land. In this case, it's John McGill. Or Robert Kell. So
So are those
we need
old
to figure out
farms?
who owns it. And honestly, right now, I don't know what they are. I do know some of there was like one that popped up as reflected as the owner. So like this thing here, 35 acres, 61 Maple Ave. I don't know what that is.
That's
Eh.
on heading towards Northbridge on the left-hand side. It's
Right. So I don't know if it's really developable or if it's full of ledge. I don't know at this time.
That where the old Chinese food restaurant is, Ray?
61 Maple Ave, I mean, that sounds like Rick's Hilltop, up there, Mangano's Farm is up there on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
I think, John, you could probably cut that thing down to anything under, 2 acres. Because
Yeah, just don't bother with that.
But that,
yeah. The New England Power properties, they're never gonna sell that.
Right.
So,
Right.
that's not gonna happen, like John McGill's land on the right-hand side of Providence Road. down by the back entrance to the golf course. I know that Jay is talking about doing something down there. And they also own another parcel past the apartments on the right-hand side, so. But
Is that
yeah,
is that in South Grafton, Ray?
it's right on the line between South Grafton and the center. Yeah. Yeah, and the only reason I say that is that we have 3 fire stations in town and they have lines of demarcation. That's where you go. So if it's here, you call station 3. If it's here, you call station 1. So, but yeah, if you could break that down, John, and we could get it. I'll get it on the agenda for the next meeting, and we can talk about it and go from there.
Will do.
Also, one thing that I'd like you to add in, if you could, is Tough Science Park. The parcels that they have there, how many parcels they have, and available, just so that we know. Right now, not a lot of people know how many buildings could be built out there. It is, I think it's maxed out at almost 800,000 square feet or something like that. So maybe we can just get that and go over it at the next meeting. Okay. You've frozen up again,
It's-
John?
That sounds good.
Actually pre-approved for that amount. All right, we actually, they
Yeah,
went through the approval process
yeah,
and it's pre-approved for development.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if it's expired, but there's quite a bit.
well, yeah, I'm not sure. I know they went through the planning board and all of that for that, but just so we have an idea of what could possibly go up in there, or the amount of land and buildings and what could go up there, so. Okay, does anybody have anything else? John, you've pretty much given us, I had John's report at the bottom. You've pretty much given us almost everything.
I felt like I just gave it, and that's the summary.
Yeah, you did. So, well, no, that was good. So anybody who wants anything on the agenda, now the next meeting will be, August, hang on. I think it's August 21st now. And I may change that, because Prabhu has planning board meetings. So we may change it. And John, what did you say was on the 3rd Monday? It froze up again.
I think the 21st is the 3rd Monday.
Yeah, no, but earlier in the meeting, he said, actually before the meeting, he said something on the 3rd Monday.
Master plan,
Master plan, okay.
master plan.
Yeah, so we may go to the last Monday in August. I do want to have the meetings in person, but they'll always be a Zoom,
Capable.
Zoom, so that you can dial in, makes it easier for everybody. The next meeting will be just a dial in, a Zoom meeting, and then starting in September, we'll go to in person and then also Zoom also, just to make it convenient so that everybody can make the meetings. So, does anybody have anything else? No? Oh,
Nope.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
Motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
aye. Moise,
Aye.
Those opposed? Declare the motion carried. Thank you very much.